So how do we graph this inequality? The method I'm going to suggest is kind of strange. You need to be able to graph these inequalities on an exam with pencil and paper. No computer, no Desmos. But it turns out the best way for most people to learn this is to use Desmos. But just make sure when you're done that you've practiced doing this without the computer, and that tends to work out really well. So what are the steps in graphing this particular inequality? Well, the first step is to find the boundary line. The boundary line is what you get when you replace this inequality with an equal sign. Now we know how to graph lines. Let's solve for y by subtracting x from both sides. And we can sketch the graph of that line very easily because the y-intercept is at 0, 6, and the slope, if we rewrite this, the slope can be thought of as negative 1 over 1, which means it goes down 1 and right 1, down 1 and right 1. The points on this line, like 0, 6, also make the points on this inequality true, because 0, 6 is on the boundary line, and this or equal to means that 6 equals 6. If you put in 0, 6 for x and y, you get a true statement. So whenever there's an or equal to, this boundary line is solid. And now either this side or this side will all be shaded, one or the other, and we don't really know which it is. So what I'm going to do is pick a test point that's not on the boundary line. I like the point 0, 0, and I put it into the original inequality, x equals 0 and y equals 0, and I get 0 is less than or equal to 6, which is true. And so the solution to this inequality looks like this. Now that's what you need to be able to do. But as a step towards learning that, you could go to Desmos and you could type in the boundary line. Right here it is. And you can see that there's the boundary line. Now we chose the 0, 0 as a test point, and we think that we had to shade in all the stuff to the lower left. So let's go up here and let's check it. It's easy to type this into Desmos. And there we have it. That is the solution to that system. So let's try again. Oh, I need to know x minus y is less than or equal to 4. So x minus y is less than or equal to 4. What are the steps? Find the boundary line by putting an equal sign temporarily in place. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I'm going to divide through by negative 1 everywhere, or multiply through by negative 1 everywhere, either way. I now have this. The y-intercept is at negative 4. The slope is 1 over 1, so it goes up 1, right 1. It's a solid boundary line because of this or equal to. Now I have to decide which side to shade, above the line or below the line. And so I'm going to use my test point of 0, 0 in the original inequality. I get 0 is less than or equal to 4, which is true. That means 0, 0 is part of the shaded part. This point right here should be shaded. That means I've got to shade up this way. But I would very much encourage you in this process to use Desmos. There's that boundary line. And there we have it. That's the picture that we just painted. All right. Now comes a different problem. We've done 2 of these inequalities. I think you're ready to do that. But what happens if we take this first one, x plus y is less than or equal to 6? And the second one, x minus y is less than or equal to 4. And we solve this system where they're put together. together? Well, solving a system means finding all the points that make this true and at the same time make this true. It's not good enough to be one or the other, it's got to be both. Well, the simple idea of this is to take the solutions to the first one, which looked roughly speaking like this, and take the solutions to the second one, which looked roughly speaking like this, and find out where they overlap. The solutions overlap right here. So all these points, including the ones here and the ones here, because those were solid, all these points are part of the solution. These points don't solve either inequality. These points solve this second inequality, and these points solve just the first inequality. But these are the solution to the system. Let's see how Desmos pictures that. Those are all the points from the first inequality. These are all the points from the second inequality. And you can see where the overlap is. The overlap is here on the left side, and it contains 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 4, 0, negative 2. And all those points I just mentioned make both the blue inequality and the green inequality true. So that highlighted part is the solution to the system. The other three are only solutions to some of the systems or none. The white stuff here on the right, those points don't make either of these true. So test out some of these points. Take the point 2, 2, which is in the dark green. 2 plus 2 is less than or equal to 6. And 2 minus 2 is less than or equal to 4. So these points in the dark green make both inequalities true and therefore are solutions to the system. So the entire dark green part is a picture of the solutions of the system. I hope this helps.